Today I'm sharing a very quick tutorial that I put together for artists who want to learn how to use Lightroom Mobile to edit some pictures they've taken of their artwork so that they can share the artwork either on social media or use it on their website. So you can see that I've got the Lightroom app, which is a free app provided by Adobe. When you open it, you can see all of the files that you have. And if you don't have anything imported yet, you're going to want to tap that little picture icon with the plus sign on the lower right and add your photos from your camera roll. Once you do that, you can select the image that you want to edit. And I am going to choose this flat lay that I took of some acrylic paint tubes and this paintbrush next to a painting of a tree that I did. This painting has sold, but I'm using this photo because I want to show you how I manipulate it to make it more true to life. One thing you want to take note of is that when you are photographing, the quality and temperature of the light is incredibly important. In this picture, you might notice that it feels really cool, and that is because of the time of day and the overcast weather that I was having. So to adjust for this, I am going to first change the white balance. When I edit images, that's usually the first thing I do. White balance will let you control the temperature of the light so you can make it warmer or cooler. And to do that, we're going to tap on the color button that's down in our bottom menu. And then this opens up the white balance screen that lets us use the slider to adjust it to either be more blue by sliding that top one to the left or more yellow by sliding it to the right. But really quick, I just want to tell you what this means where it says as shot. If you are using an actual camera, you might have the capability to actually control your white balance before you shoot and set the temperature of the light or the quality of the light. And so if you click where it says as shot here, it's going to show you how it was photographed originally or how it would automatically correct for it, which would be this way. Or you can do a custom, which is what we're going to do. It doesn't matter if you choose as shot or custom. As soon as you start sliding it, it's going to become custom, even if it says as shot. So back to the sliders. The top one says temp. That's controlling the cool or warmth of the temperature. You can see what happens when I slide this up to the right to make it warmer. If I go all the way, it's crazy warm. And if I go the other way, it's crazy blue and cool. So I am going to drag it to just a little bit warmer, and I am looking at the white of the canvas that's beneath it. That blank white canvas I chose to use as the backdrop for this flat lay. I'm trying to slide it warmer just until I feel like it's actually a neutral white with none of those blue cooler tones in it. And I feel like right about here looks pretty good. Now, the other slider will adjust for greens and magentas. And usually I don't find I need this, but it's there if you do. You can play around with that slider and see what would happen. I'm just going to leave mine set back at 0 for this image because I like how it's looking here. Now, this might be all that's necessary in adjusting this photo because it's looking pretty true to life. You can see the before by pressing down and holding, and then when you release it, it shows you what it looks like now, which is helpful when you have edits that you really need to go back and forth on. So something else that's in our menu down at the bottom is the light feature. The light controls give you exposure and contrast. This is where it was at when I first photographed it. And I am just bumping the exposure up a little bit to make it a little bit brighter. Next, we are going to scroll down this menu. These are the other things you can adjust: the contrast, the highlights, shadows. You can see I have dragged the highlights down. This is what it did look like. This is what it looks like if you go further, make them brighter. The very brightest parts of the image are adjusted with this slider. I felt like there were some really bright highlights in here, and to make it look more natural, I deepen those and darken those in I've dragged it to the left, and I feel like it looks good, kind of about there. And then with the shadows, I have brightened the shadows. Sometimes if you're shooting and it's dark, you might lose some detail in those areas if they're too dark, and I didn't want any of the detail of this to get lost in those shadows. So I bumped it up a little bit to help the viewer see. And that's similar with the whites and blacks. The white slider will brighten or darken the image, and sometimes I do like to brighten the whites, but in this image, just barely. And in the blacks, it will make those deep shades even darker or will make them brighter. So you can play around with that and get the correct look for what you want it to be. And you want to try to make it as true to life as your painting is when you actually look at it in person. Okay, now I'm going to show you what to do if there's only like one specific color that needs adjusting, but everything else looks good. Real quick, you can see if we go back to the color tab that there's other things beneath the temperature and tint sliders. Vibrance will make the overall colors more full of pizzazz, I guess you can say. So there's it at 0, and then I slide it to have more vibrant colors, and it just gives them some more oomph. And saturation is very similar, but saturation can easily go way overboard and give it a very fake, like too graphic kind of look. So you really want to be careful with your saturation. If you pull your saturation the other way, you're going to desaturate it, and you can go so far as to making it totally grayscale. So that's handy in case you work in black and white. Now, back to what I was saying about adjusting one specific color. Hit that little colorful circle that says mix, and it's going to open a menu for you that shows you the individual colors. And those circles at the top let you choose which color you want to work with. Let's do the greens. And then you have the hue, saturation, and luminance sliders, also known as HSL. This is hue, and what it does is makes those greens, because we picked to work with green, either more yellow or more bluish of a green. So you can fine tune that how you want it to go. I'm going to leave it at 0. It's kind of tricky. There we go. And then saturation will adjust the saturation of just the greens and make them super punchy by going this way and in your face greens, or if you go the other way, it will desaturate them and make them very lacking and kind of vintage looking greens. I, again, am going to just leave that at 0 because I like how they look in this image. And then the luminance kind of makes them more light filled or less. So a little bit lighter going this way, and then sliding this way makes them flatter, like a deeper, flatter looking green. All right. I'm just setting everything back to 0 because, like I said, I think the colors all look natural in this image to how I painted it. But this is very handy if you ever have a color cast from something that you were shooting nearby, like if you were wearing a red shirt and you didn't realize it when you took your photos and your photos have a lot of extra red, you can handle that through manipulating the red in this slider. Or if you're photographing outside in a very grassy green field, you might have too much green, and you can adjust for that with this as well. Okay, the next tool that you might find handy, is on the bottom. If we click back to the menu, we can go to detail, the triangle, and this will let us sharpen if we need to. You can see all these other things, all these other tools that Lightroom offers us. Some of them come in handy and some of them you may never touch, but it's nice to know they're there. You can crop in here. The healing tool on the bottom will remove dust or blemishes. Something else that I do want to show you is that this preset tab is a place to store your commonly used adjustments. And this comes in super handy because if you photograph a stack of paintings or drawings in the same lighting situation, you're going to need to apply the same settings to all of those images probably. And so you can do your manipulation like we just did, and then you can save it, and you can even name your own preset group. We can call this basic adjustments, and I'm saving it in the user preset group. It will let you select or remove the boxes of what you want to put in that preset. It's really handy because now all you have to do is open the next image file, go down to presets, and find that preset that you have saved. So I saved mine. These are all the folders, but I saved mine in that top folder where it says user presets. And these are other ones that I have made. But now I just have to look for the basic adjustments one. There it is. And there it goes. Boom. It is matching the other image that I just manipulated. And it will even let you adjust your preset if you want to. You can play with that slider to apply less or more of the presets, or you can leave it as it was when you first created it. Now, to save the preset, once you finish your adjustments on your first image, you tap those three dots in the circle on the top right, and you save the preset. All right, when you're ready to save your image after you've made all your adjustments, you just click that box with the arrow coming out of it that's up at the top toward the right, and then it opens this menu for you. In this menu, it lets you share it. If you want to send it to somebody, you can export it, or you can simply save it to your camera roll. I hope this little tutorial helped you learn how to easily do some basic adjustments to your photos of your artwork. If you have any questions or would like another tutorial, just let me know and I will see what I can do.